Okay, so today we're diving into something that I think a lot of people are curious about, but maybe don't even realize how much it affects them.
Yeah,
Color.
absolutely. Color psychology.
Color psychology.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting because I feel like color on one hand feels really personal.
Yep.
Like that shade of blue makes me feel calm.
Yeah,
But that shade of blue, I need to repaint this entire room.
right.
But you also want to kind of understand how it works, in advertising,
Yeah.
in interior design,
Mm-hmm.
just kind of the
This whole thing.
whole deal.
Yeah, it's fascinating. And I think what's so interesting about it is that people don't really realize how powerful it is.
Right.
We kind of take color for granted, but it really does impact us on so many levels emotionally.
Yeah.
Our perceptions, our actions, it's really a blend of art and science.
Yeah. So, I mean, how about we start with just like how color affects our mood?
Okay.
I mean, I mean, obviously it can, but
It
like,
absolutely can.
how does it work?
Just think about walking into a room and it's painted like a fiery red.
Uh-huh.
You're going to feel energized. You might even feel a little aggressive. It's not exactly the vibe you'd want in, say, a yoga studio,
Right.
where you're going for peace and tranquility.
Right. Yeah.
So, different colors really do evoke distinct emotional responses, and this is something that designers are really aware of.
That makes sense. Like picking a paint color for a bedroom, maybe I don't go with
Yeah,
red.
exactly.
I'm not going to sleep.
Probably not a great choice.
But what about are there cultural differences with colors?
Oh, absolutely.
Like, do they mean different things around the world?
Yes. The interesting thing about color is that the meanings that we ascribe to colors are often culturally constructed.
Interesting.
So I've always been fascinated by the color white, for example.
Mm-hmm.
In many Western cultures, it's associated with things like purity weddings,
Yeah.
but in some Eastern cultures, it's associated with mourning.
Why?
So that's a pretty stark contrast. It really highlights the importance of being aware of these cultural nuances, especially as we live in such a globalized world.
Yeah, it really does make you think, like something so simple as color can have such different meanings.
Absolutely.
Now, you also mentioned the therapeutic uses of color.
Yeah.
What's that all about?
So that's something called chromotherapy, and it's the idea of using colors to promote healing and well-being.
Okay.
So for instance, blue is often used to help people with insomnia because it can be very calming to the nervous system,
Interesting.
while yellow, because it's associated with sunshine, is sometimes used to boost mood and energy levels.
Mm-hmm.
The scientific evidence behind chromotherapy is still debated, but it does have a long and rich history in many different cultures.
It makes you wonder, like, if we should all be painting our offices green, for productivity or something.
Yeah.
No, but, speaking of businesses, I mean, brands use color really deliberately, right?
Oh, yeah. 100%. I mean, this is where they're tapping into this world of color psychology.
Right.
Think about how fast food restaurants often use red and yellow.
Yes.
Well, there's a reason for that. Those colors have been shown to stimulate appetite. They create a sense of urgency,
Wow.
Exactly what you want when you're trying to decide where to eat.
Yeah.
Or think about the calming blue that so many banks use that's meant to evoke feelings of trust and stability.
Mm-hmm.
Really important qualities when you're dealing with financial institutions.
That is so interesting. It's like they're speaking this secret language we don't even realize.
Exactly.
But what about just, personal preferences?
Yeah.
I mean, why do some people love certain colors while other people can't stand them?
Well, it's a combination of factors, really.
Yeah.
Cultural influences definitely play a role, but so do personal experiences.
Right.
Maybe you had a favorite toy as a child that was a certain shade of green, and now you just, it brings back happy memories.
Right.
Genetics can even play a role in some cases.
Wow. Okay, so I have to ask this question.
Okay.
Warm versus cool colors.
Yeah.
Is it as simple as, like, temperature?
Well, it's not just about, it feeling warm or cool.
Okay.
It actually has physiological effects. So warm colors like reds and oranges, they stimulate the nervous system, they increase your heart rate, they can even raise your blood pressure slightly.
Wow.
So they're great for grabbing attention, creating energy, but maybe not ideal for, a relaxing bedroom.
Not my bedroom.
Right, exactly. Cool colors, on the other hand, things like blues and greens, they tend to have the opposite effect. They can actually lower blood pressure and promote feelings of tranquility.
So color can actually have like a physical impact on us.
Absolutely.
Wow. Okay, so this might be a little out there, but I'm curious, do animals see color the same way that we do?
Not even close.
Really?
Different species have different types of color receptors in their eyes, so their perception of color can be wildly different from ours.
Huh.
For example, bees can see ultraviolet light, which opens up a whole world of, floral patterns that are invisible to us humans. It's just amazing to think that what we perceive as reality is really just this small slice of the electromagnetic spectrum.
It's like everybody's living in their own little color world.
Kind of.
What about color blindness?
Right.
How does that work?
So color blindness happens when some of the color-sensitive cells in the eyes, called cones, are either missing or don't function properly.
Oh,
And the most common type is red-green color blindness, where people have difficulty distinguishing between reds and greens. It's
us.
something that's really important for designers and anyone who creates visual content to keep in mind and make sure their work is accessible to people with color vision deficiencies.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Now I think about color a lot when it comes to interior design.
Sure.
Any tips there?
Well, interior designers use color psychology all the time to create specific moods and atmospheres.
Okay.
For instance, light blues and greens, they can create a very serene and relaxing vibe in a bedroom, perfect for unwinding after a long day. Whereas in a living room, you might want to go for warmer tones, like yellows and oranges, to create a more welcoming and convivial atmosphere.
It's amazing to me how much there is to learn about color. It's
Right.
not just like, oh, that's my favorite color.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Even just this basic understanding of color psychology, I think, can empower you to make more intentional choices.
Yeah.
Whether it's the colors that you wear or the way that you decorate your home or even how you interpret those subtle messages that brands are sending you.
It's a whole world.
It
Well,
is.
you've given us a lot to think about, and I want to leave everyone listening with this thought.
Okay.
Pay attention to the colors that you surround yourself with
Mm-hmm.
and how they make you feel.
Good idea.
Do they energize you? Do they calm you? Does your favorite color actually reflect something about your personality?
Interesting.
You might be surprised by what you discover.
Absolutely.
So think about that.